Welcome back. All right, so there's just the one game that's on as I'm recording this, and it's in between the first and second period of that game between St. Louis and Edmonton. So why not record the first board, record the second board between the second and third period, and then you guys get the review that much faster. All right, so we're going to start things off with the first game from today, which was Philadelphia and Boston. Kolosov versus Swayman, and this was the first game that did not end in a shutout between these two teams. There's too many Flyers on the ice. The Bruins with a power play. Lowry has a shot that deflects wide. That power play is killed off. Then there's a post for Marchand as the Bruins press. Shots are 5-1 Boston at 5 minutes. Tippett has a net drive. That's blocked. We get a power play for the Flyers, and they score on it at 7:23. Michkov wires one short side. Couturier and Andre with the assists. 1-0 Philly. The Bruins then draw another power play. That's killed off. Things are pushy on a hold by Kolosov. The teams exchange rushes. The Bruins press with 5.5 minutes left. The Flyers press with 3 minutes left. And at 18:24 on a cross-ice pass, Michkov buries one. Sanheim with the assist. After the first period, it's 2-0 for the Flyers. Second period, the Flyers press at 2.5 minutes. We get a power play for Boston. Things are punchy on a hold by Kolosov. Geeky's denied, and then on a backhand near the end of the penalty, Frederick scores at 5:26. Lowry and Geeky with the assists. It's 2-1. Bruins press to tie it. In fact, the shots are 8-2 Boston at 9 minutes. Brink has a net drive that saved. Kastelik's denied as the Bruins get some pressure. The teams trade turnovers. The Flyers press with 5 minutes left, and at 15:29, York scores from Sanheim and Konechny. Swayman was indicating he believed he was interfered with on the play. He wanted a goalie interference challenge. They did not challenge it, which was the right call because, yes, he got hit on the play, but it was a defending player that pushed the offending player into Swayman. 3:29 left. We get some punching. Again, the Flyers come out of that with a power play. That's killed off. The Flyers press after. It's 3-1 for the Flyers after 2. Third period, things are pushed on a hold by Swayman. These teams not liking each other. And the Bruins are committing a lot of turnovers, but at 5:18 they would score. Frederick scores from Coyle and Kastelik. He wires that one from the inner slot. We then get a power play for Boston. Marchand's denied. That power play's killed off. The Flyers rush after. Bruins go back to the power play, so the Flyers kill that one as well. Flyers press with 6 minutes left, but at 14:36 on a rush, Marchand scores from Brazo. So that ties the game at 3. And then with 1:57 left, the Bruins get a power play. So that rolls over into the overtime. The Flyers control early, so 3 seconds in, it becomes 4-on-4. Coyle has a shot that deflects out, so that causes the game to go back to 3-on-3, as nature intends overtime to be. Farabee's denied on a breakaway, and then at 2:49 on a cross-crease pass, Zacha scores. Pasternak with the assist. Boston wins this one 4-3 in overtime. They go to 15-11-3 with the win. With the overtime loss, Philadelphia 12-11-4 on the season. Shots on net, 9-7 Boston in the first, 12-9 Philly in the second, 12-6 Boston in the third. Both teams with one shot in overtime. Boston the shot that matters. Final shots 31-26 for the Bruins. Power plays, Philadelphia 1 for 2. Boston 1 for 6. The hits 33-18 for Boston. Kolosov saves 27 out of 31. Swayman 23 saves on 26 shots. All right, next up, Utah and Buffalo. So Vejmelka versus Luukkonen in this one. The shots are 1 apiece at 2.5 minutes. Utah presses at 3.5 minutes. Schmaltz scores. There's a goalie interference challenge, and yep, that one comes off the board. Utah then resumes some pressure. Valimaki has a screenshot that saved. Luukkonen holds one to get a change because they've been pinned down for a while. And then Buffalo scores first. It's Kozak on a tip in close. Mallenstein and Gilbert with the assists at 10:14. That is his first NHL goal. He had a first NHL goal the other night, and it came back. So it's his first NHL goal. Sabres press for another. We get a power play for Buffalo. That's killed off with 1:21 left. The Sabres go back to the power play. So it's 1-0 Buffalo after 1. They've got a power play that rolls over to start the second period. Utah finishes the kill. The Sabres press at 2.5 minutes, but at 3:18, after a failed clear by Buffalo, Kesselring scores. Hayden with the assist. That one was passed to screen as well. It's a 1-1 tie. Then at 3:42, with Luukkonen down due to contact, Sergachev scores from Kerfoot and Carconi. The Boo Birds are out on no challenge, but it was Gilbert that caused a player to fall into his own goaltender. So those are 2 games in a row there where a defending player kind of causes a problem on a goal. So that makes it 2-1 for Utah. Sabres press at 5.5 minutes. Things are pushed on a hold by Luukkonen. The shots are 8-3 Utah at 8 minutes. Kesselring then has a fight with Mallenstein. Sabres not getting zone time at this point. Utah presses with 4 minutes left. The fans are getting restless late in the second, and it gets worse. At 19:08, Schmaltz gets that goal back. Kesselring and Keller with the assists. It's 3-1 Utah after 2. Third period, there's an early press by Utah, and McBain at 2 minutes and 11 seconds roofs one from the doorstep. Cooley and Gunther with the assists. Utah looks for another. Cousins has a chance held on a rush. Thompson then has a slot shot. That's kicked aside. The Sabres press at 6.5 minutes. They draw a power play. That's killed off. It had some chances. And then Stenlund puts one past a screen from a sharp angle. Makes it 5-1. Kerfoot and Motto with the assists at 12:07. And yeah, the boo birds of what was left of the Buffalo crowd were definitely out. Kulik's denied on a net drive. The Sabres press, and Kulik buries a rebound. Zucker and Power with the assists at 17:40. The Sabres would press for another, but they lose this one 5-2. Utah goes to 11-11-4 with the win. With the loss, Buffalo 11-12-3 on the season. Shots on net, 10-7 Utah in the first, 13-5 Utah in the second, 13-5 Buffalo in the third. Final shots are 28-25 for the Utah Hockey Club. Utah didn't have a power play, and Buffalo went 0-3. The hits, 38-8 for Buffalo. Vejmelka saves 23 out of 25. Luukkonen saves 23 out of 28. All right, next up, Winnipeg and Chicago. And for a while here, I thought, hey, we might see a major upset. So, Hellebuck versus Mrazek. The shots are 2-0 Jets at 3 minutes. The Jets get some pressure at 3.5 minutes. There's a long stretch without a whistle. Connor then has a chance that's held that brings that to an end. Connor to Scheifele gets picked off. The Hawks press at 8.5 minutes, but they're kept to the outside. Then there's a delay of game call, and the Hawks go to the power play. And their special teams have been good. This is the only power play they get in the game, and they score on it. Vlasic puts one top shelf past a screen. Teravainen and Bedard with the assists at 9:01. It's 1-0 Chicago. Perfetti's denied on a rush. The Jets press are kept to the outside. And then at 13:31, Velarde tips in a point shot to tie the game at 1. Stanley and Connor with the assists. We then get a power play for the Jets. That's killed off. Niederreiter's denied on a rush. And then at 19:47, Martinez with his first goal of the season and his first as a Chicago Blackhawk. He goes top shelf from the left circle. Mikheyev and Dickinson with the assists. It's 2-1 Chicago after 1. Second period, the Jets draw an early power play. That was killed off. Pretty good penalty kill there by Chicago. Again, 5-on-5, they're kind of a disaster this year, but special teams have been good for Chicago. The Jets press at 4 minutes. The Hawks get pinned down a bit. Brad Lambert with a near miss. Hall has a rush chance. That's held. The shots are 3-1 Chicago at 7.5 minutes. The Jets press at half. They get more pressure with 7.5 minutes left. And at 13:10, Niederreiter with a backhand during a press scores to get the game tied at 2. Appleton and Fleury with the assists. The Hawks press to respond, but the shots are 6-3 Winnipeg with 5 minutes left. The Hawks press to close it out. It's 2-2 after 2. Third period, Martinez gets dinged on a shot block. That looked painful. The Jets press at 1.5. The Hawks get pinned down a bit, but they're blocking shots, doing everything they can to keep the Winnipeg Jets to the outside. Because despite the zone time, there's no shots for the Jets. They're getting all kinds of pressure. They're just not quite getting to the net. There's a post for Appleton. The Hawks rush. Then there's a near miss for Bertuzzi. The Jets rush the other way. Shots are 3-2 Jets at the half, and at 10:18, Scheifele buries a rebound. Connor with the assist. And it's 3-2 for Winnipeg. Jets press with 6.5 minutes left. Lots of time spent in the Hawks' end. Eventually, the goalie gets pulled, and Mason Appleton gets his first in 17 games. He'd hit a post earlier in the game. That happens at 18:18. The Hawks call a timeout to talk things over. Whatever they discuss does not work. Your final score is 4-2 for Winnipeg. They go to 20-8 with the win. With the loss, Chicago 8-17-2 on the season. Shots on net, 8 apiece in the first, 9-3 Winnipeg in the second, 12-3 Winnipeg in the third. Final shots 29-14 for the Winnipeg Jets. Power plays, Winnipeg 0-2. Chicago scored on the only one they had. The hits 15-13 Winnipeg. Hellebuck, net 12 saves on 14 shots. Mrazek saved all 4 shots, and then it looked like maybe he'd hurt his groin. He leaves the game. And Soderblom, 21 saves on 24 shots in relief. We'll find out later on what's going on with Mrazek and how much time he may miss. If you're a Hawks fan, you're hoping he doesn't miss any. That should be the hope. All right, last game on this board is Carolina and the New York Islanders. So, Kochetkov versus Sorokin. The only shot on net is for the Islanders 2.5 minutes in. It was a very Islanders feel to the start of this. Good forechecking by the Canes. Cholowski has a rush chance that saved. We get a power play for New York. There's a shorthanded 2-on-1. Jordan Stahl's denied there. That power play is killed off. Shots are 6-4 for the Islanders at 9 minutes. Near miss for Nelson. The Islanders end up getting their second power play on that play. Horvat misses an open net. That power play ends up being killed off. Dobson has a rush chance kicked aside. We then get a power play for Carolina, and they score on it. It is Svechnikov putting one in off Dobson's skate on a rush to get the first goal of the game. Aho and Gostisbehere with the assists at 15:43, so 1-0 Carolina. Canes then get a power play with 1:17 left, so they're up 1-0 after one. The power play goes into the second period, where the Islanders do finish the kill. Horvat then has a chance that's held. He was snake bit coming into this game. Horvat had gone a long while without a goal. The Islanders press at 3.5 minutes. Orlov has a screenshot that's held. The Canes press at 5 minutes. But at 6:05 on a 2-on-1 rush, Pajot roofs one. Dobson and Siplikov with the assists. So that ties the game at 1. Then there's a high sticking penalty on Lee, but it was an elbow. So you could have called elbowing, but since they called high sticking, I'm not sure what they saw. But it's a power play for the Canes anyways. So Svechnikov scores on it. He buries it in close. Jarvis and Gostisbehere with the assists at 9:23. So Anders Lee comes right out of the box and goes right up to Chris Rooney. And Rooney's basically doing one of the, once you call the penalty, it's called, right? And this is where people will say, they should be able to rescind it on a review, shouldn't they, if they called the wrong penalty? That's where the other people jump up and go, we've got enough reviews already, knock it off. So anyways, that makes it 2-1 for Carolina. It felt like that might be a key moment, but Wahlstrom would answer at 10:06. So less than a minute later, the Islanders get the game locked back up at 2. The Canes press to response. Zizekas to Wahlstrom. There's a near miss there. The Isles press with 4.5 minutes left, and at 16:16, Siplikov buries a rebound to give the Islanders their first lead of the game. Pajot and Horvat with the assists. The Islanders press with 2 minutes left. At 18:55, Horvat on a rush gets his first in 14 games. He gets that goal from Pajot. That is 4 goals in the second period for the Islanders. They're up 4-2 after the second period. But the third period has been an issue for the New York Islanders this year. So, early press by Carolina. In fact, shots are 4-1 for the Canes at 3 minutes. Kind of an, oh no, here we go again kind of feel for this if you're an Isles fan, right? Momentum for the Canes, but Sorokin. Sorokin earning his money today. He was solid. Siplikov with a near miss on a net drive. The shots are 10-2 for Carolina at 8.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. The Canes press during that. And then the Canes call a timeout with 2:25 left and the goalie pulled. And then at 19:12, they get one. It is Kotkaniemi roofing one from the side of the net. Gostisbehere and Natchez with the assist. So Gostisbehere had 3 helpers today. But the Islanders do hang on. They win this one 4-3. They go to 10-11-7 with the win. With the loss, Carolina 17-9-1, and they're struggling right now. Shots on net, 11-10 New York Islanders in the first, 12-2 Islanders in the second, 19-2 Carolina in the third. And the Islanders announcers kept talking about how, they learned how to play in the third period. And I'm thinking, no, Sorokin did. Sorokin stole this. So the final shots are 31-25 for Carolina. Power plays, Carolina 2 for 3. The Islanders 0 for 2. The hits 25-17 for the Islanders. Kochetkov saves 21 out of 25. Sorokin saved 28 out of 31. So there you go. Let us go ahead and get to board number 2, which I will get to after watching period number 2 between St. Louis and the Oilers. Got it? Good. Okay, so San Jose and the Florida Panthers. Blackwood versus Bobrovsky and 23 seconds in, Florida scores. So San Jose coming off that ugly 8-1 loss against Tampa, and this just felt like it was starting the same way. So Tkachuk buries a rebound from Bennett. It's 1-0 Florida. Things are pushed in a hole by Bobrovsky. We have too many Panthers on the ice. The Sharks get a power play. Oh, there's going to be some power plays in this one. That power play's killed off 2 shots on net. Forsling's denied on a 3-on-1 rush, and then Florida presses after. In fact, more Florida pressure at 7.5 minutes. Shots are 6-4 for Florida at 9 minutes. The fans call one, the referee does not. Liljegren was denied on a rush. The Sharks press with 4.5 minutes left. Greer's denied on a net drive. It's 1-0 Florida after 1. Second period, we get a power play for Florida. Barkov has a shot that's blockered aside. That power play's killed off. The Panthers press after it's done. Forsling's denied on a net drive. Ekblad has a rush chance that's held. 5.5 minutes into the period, the shots are 9-0 for Florida. 9-0. The Sharks press at 6 minutes. We get a power play for San Jose. That's killed off. Zetterlund fires one high on a 2-on-1 rush. And Blackwood's the only reason this thing's close. And then at 10:05, it's less close. Tkachuk goes short side from a sharp angle. Noshek with the assist. It is 2-0 for Florida. We then get a power play for the Panthers, and they score on it. Barkov tipping one from the side of the net. Reinhart and Verhaeghe with the assists at 13-17. It's 3-0 Florida. Panthers press for another with 3:44 left. The Sharks get a power play. That's killed off. With 54.4 seconds left in the period, Florida gets a power play. So they're up 3-0 after 2, and a power play to start the third. And to start the third, the Sharks and Blackwood finish the kill. I can't just put Sharks finish the kill since it's the Blackwood show. The Panthers press at 2 minutes. An offensive zone penalty by Greer ends that. So the San Jose Sharks to the power play. That's killed off. Panthers rush after. We get a power play for Florida. That's killed off. The Sharks go back to the power play. That's killed off. Then there's another Sharks power play right after that. That's killed off. And then the Panthers go to the power play right after that. That leads to a shorthanded breakaway by Cunnin. He's denied there. Then it's crossbar and out for Bennett. The power play is killed off. 7 shots for Florida. 7 shots on the power play. With 2:29 left, the Sharks get a power play, and at 18:35, they score. It's a 6-on-4. They get it. Toffoli with the power play marker. Granlund and Wallman with the assists. That makes your final score 3-1. Florida goes to 17-9-2 with the win. With the loss, San Jose 10-15-5. The shots are just violent. 13-6 Florida in the first, 20-9 Florida in the second, 20-14 Florida in the third. They outshoot San Jose 53-29. Power plays, San Jose 1 for 7, Florida 1 for 5. You see 12 power plays in a game, you'd expect fights back and forth, but it was just ticky-tack penalties. The hits 22-19 San Jose. Blackwood 50 saves on 53 shots. Just ridiculous. Bobrovsky saves 28 out of 29. All right, next up, Washington and the Montreal Canadiens. So it's Thompson versus Montembeault. Hudson has a net feed that's picked off. The Habs press at 2.5 minutes. In fact, 4.5 minutes in, the shots are 2-0 Montreal. They were kind of beating Washington at their own game. The teams trade rushes, and then at 11:08, Newhook scores from Caulfield and Hudson. Tom Wilson then took a puck to the jaw. He would exit. He did come back. His jaw is really swollen. He looks like he's got like an entire package of Big League Chew just right there in his cheek. Or that he's storing up peanuts for the winter. I mean, maybe, right? Maybe he hurt his jaw and he went, oh, look, they got peanuts back here. But either way, he did come back and play. We get a power play for the Capitals. That's killed off. Duhaime's denied and close. Caulfield's then robbed on a rush. And after that, Caulfield, it's a slap shot that deflects in. Suzuki with the assist at 16:01. It's 2-0 in favor of Montreal. Caps press with 2.5 minutes left. Gallagher has a near miss on a rush. The Habs press in the final minute. It's 2-0 Montreal after one. Kind of a perfect first period for Montreal, but we have 2 periods to go. And in the second period, Dubois scores at 33 seconds from Carlson and Radish. So all of a sudden it's 2-1. The Caps then look to tie it. The shots are 2-1 in favor of Washington, 3 minutes in. Capitals press at 3 minutes. Teams trade turnovers. The Habs press with 9.5 minutes left. Gallagher has a net drive. That's blocked. We get a power play for Montreal. Slavkovsky with a one-timer there. That's held. Power play's killed off. Shots are 7-5 Washington with 4.5 minutes left. The Caps press in the final minute, but it stays 2-1 Montreal after 2. Third period. There's a post for McMichael. The Caps then press at 1.5 minutes. Strubl's denied on a fast break. Dvorak to Anderson. That gets picked off at the net. The shots are 5-2 Washington at 6 minutes. Dowd has a wrister that's held, and then at 7 minutes and 10 seconds, Wilson with the chipmunk cheeks and all, or at least one cheek. It's his job, but still. Wilson from Protas and Roy. So the game is tied. Ferravari then has a point shot that's blocked out as now the Caps are looking for the lead. Suzuki's denied on a breakaway. The Caps press with 9.5 minutes left, and at 11:49 on a turnover, Wilson with his second of the game. Dubois and Protas with the assists. Maybe hitting him in the face with the puck helps. Maybe that makes Wilson play better. Makes him angry. We then get a power play for the Capitals. Matheson prevents a goal. However, Strome walks in and just wires one to make it 4-2. Chychrun and McMichael with the assists at 13:49. The Caps go back to the power play. That's killed off with 1:34 left. The Habs get a power play. They're unable to generate much there. And the Capitals win this one 4-2. They go to 19-6-2 with the win. With the loss, Montreal 10-14-3. The shots on net. 10-9 Montreal in the first, 8-5 Washington in the second, 18-9 Washington in the third. Final shots 35-24 for the Capitals. Power plays, Washington 1 for 3. Montreal 0 for 2. The hits 28-23 Montreal. Thompson 22 saves on 24 shots as Capitals get their ninth straight road win. And Montembeault 22 saves on 24 shots at the other end. So is that the actual number? No, it's not. No, it's not. Look at that. I wrote the same number down twice. I'm going to use a different colored marker just because I'll blame the entertainment guy. How does that sound? Yeah, I can do that. All right, so Montembeault, 31 saves on 35 shots because he allowed 4 goals, so there you go. All right, let us go ahead now and move along. Nashville. Nashville has problems with scoring. Ottawa had problems with winning in November, I should say, so something's got to give. It's Saros versus Ullmark, 2 goaltenders who might see each other at the Four Nations tournament. And look for Four Nations references from now until the tournament, and then after the tournament, and then into the playoffs. It's going to be talked about a lot. So Carrier couldn't bury one in close. The Sens press at a minute and a half. Yossi has a screenshot that saved. Amadio then has a near miss on a rebound. Shots are 5-4 Ottawa at 7 minutes. The fans call one. The referee does not. Blankenberg has a slapper that's blocked. We get a power play for Ottawa. That's killed off by the Preds. Their penalty kill remains fantastic. Nashville presses with 5.5 minutes left. Things are pushy on a hold by Saros. Blankenberg has a chance this blocker to side. It is 0-0 after 1. Second period. Norris to Tkachuk. Saros saves there. The teams exchange rushes. There's a press by Nashville at 2.5 minutes. The shots are 6-4 for Ottawa at 4.5 minutes. And at 5:07, Bernard Docker wires one from the right circle. Stützle and COL-DET with the assists. The Preds nearing 100 minutes without a goal, and they would pass that and more. There's a power play for Ottawa. That's killed off. And then at 16:52, Giroux makes it 2-0. He scores from Stützle. Nashville presses for response. Novak has a rush chance that's kicked aside. We then have a post for Yossi as Nashville gets some pressure. They're just not allowed to get goals. Smith versus Ostapchuk then takes place. Big hits by Nashville in the final minute. You could see that frustration was building. It's 2-0 Ottawa after 2. Third period, Carrier gets shaken up on a hit. He exits. It was kind of an ugly play. It wasn't a dirty hit or anything, but just the angle he fell on and everything, it didn't look great. Press by Nashville, 2.5 minutes. We get a power play for the Preds, so the ref sucks. LaRue's denied and close. That power play's killed off. Shots are 3-2 Nashville at 7 minutes. Back-to-back icings by the Sens. They get pinned down for a little bit. Svechkov to Marchessault gets picked off. And then at 12:37, it's an insurance goal, and it's Nick Cousins getting it from Amadio. Nashville then presses with 7 minutes left to try to respond. We get a power play for Ottawa. That's killed off, but it takes 2 minutes off the clock. Tkachuk nearly adds one, and then at 18:03, Svechkov roofs one. Yep, finally a goal for Nashville. Jankowski with the assist. That's the first goal Nashville's had in over 2 games. 121 minutes and 23 seconds of action. So, yeah, Nashville's just not doing much. Preds nearly add another. They did pull the goalie, but in the end, it's a 3-1 win for Ottawa. They go to 12-12-2 with the win. With the loss, Nashville 7-15-6. So shots on net, 11-8 Ottawa in the first, 12-11 Nashville in the second, 18-8 Nashville in the third. They do outshoot Ottawa 38-30. Power plays, Nashville did not score on the only power play they had. Ottawa had 3, did not score on any of theirs. The hits, 25-24 Nashville. Saros saves 27 out of 30. Ullmark saves 37 out of 38. So good start for Ullmark and for the Sens, and then we'll see what happens when they're not playing against the Nashville team that just cannot score. All right, last game on this board, Colorado and Detroit. So, Georgiev versus Husso, 2 goalies who don't necessarily have the greatest reputations around the league when it comes to their goaltending acumen this year, but they both played pretty well tonight. So good early back and forth. The shots are only one apiece, 3 minutes in. Teams trade turnovers. The Wings press at 5.5 minutes. The Avs get some pressure at 7 minutes. Eventually, the Avs open the scoring. Nichushkin puts one past the screen from the slot. Girard with the assist at 10:48. It's 1-0 Colorado. Avs press with 6.5 minutes left. The Wings get some pressure with 4 minutes left. 2:04 left. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. There's a post for Girard on a face-off win. It's 1-0 Colorado after 1. Second period. Early press by Detroit. The Avs then get some pressure at 2 minutes. They end up getting a power play, do those Avalanche, and they score on it at 2:44. It's Makar from McKinnon. It's not fair those guys play together. It really isn't. Shots are 3 apiece at 5 minutes. The Wings press at 6.5 minutes. They're kept to the outside. McKinnon has a net feed. That's picked off. The Wings draw a power play. That's killed off. The Avs press with 8.5 minutes left. The Wings press. Compher's denied there. Casper has a net drive that's saved. And then at 18-13, Detroit finally gets one to go in. It's Raymond who stays hot. He scores from Larkin. The Avs would look to respond, but it's 2-1 for Colorado after 2. Third period, Nichushkin's denied and close. The shots are 2-0 for the Avs at 3.5 minutes. Lehkonen fires one wide on a rush. The teams trade turnovers with one another. Neither team with an easy path to the net. Both teams playing pretty responsibly defensively in that third period. Makar has a slot shot that's caught and held. McKinnon misses one high from in close. Girard has a shot that's blocked as the Avs press. And it's all pretty much one and done for the Wings in the third. So they get an opportunity, but there was no follow-up. They had a hard time getting to rebounds. Then there's an empty net post for McKinnon. The Wings call a timeout with 1:05 left. There's an empty net miss by Rantanen. So Colorado had chances here, but they do hang on. They win this one 2-1. They go to 15-13 on the season with the win. Detroit 10-13-4 with the loss. Shots on net, 10-8 Detroit in the first, 11-6 Detroit in the second, 11-9 Colorado in the third. Final shots are 30-25 for the Wings. Power plays, Colorado scores on the only power play they had. Detroit did not score on the only power play they had. The hits were 16 apiece. Georgiev saves 29 out of 30. That's the kind of number he needs. And Husso was pretty good too. 23 saves on 25 shots. And now I need to change boards. All right, so Toronto and Pittsburgh. It was Wall versus Jarry in this one. Nylander has a net drive. That's defended. The Leafs press at 3.5 minutes. There's a near miss for Marner. We then get a power play for Pittsburgh, and they score on it. Grzelcyk with one that deflects in. Hayes and Letang with the assists at 4:39. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Toronto would answer, though. Marner scores from Ekman, Larson, and Matthews at 6:35. The Penguins then press to respond to that. The shots are 4 apiece at 9 minutes. The Leafs press with 6.5 minutes left, and Benoit ends up hitting a post. And then at 14:15, Rust scores from Crosby to put Pittsburgh ahead 2-1. Rust would then look for another. The Penguins press are kept to the outside. We get a power play for the Penguins. That's killed off. The Leafs press with 2.5 minutes left, but it's 2-1 Pittsburgh after the first. Second period, there's an early press by Toronto. Eventually, the Leafs draw a power play, and they score on it. At 2:32 on a tic-tac-toe play, it is Nylander burying it into the net. Marner and Matthews with the assists, so that makes it a 2-2 tie. Penguins look to respond. We get a power play for Pittsburgh. That's killed off. Things are pushy on a hold by Wall. The Penguins go back to the power play. That becomes 57 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off there. The Leafs press with 6 minutes left. Things are pushy on a hold by Jarry. And then a quick whistle bails out Wall. But yeah, it's 2-2 after the second period. Third period, there's an early press by the Penguins. Rust has a chance that's held during some pressure. Then we get the fourth power play of the game for the Penguins, and they score. Bunting from Rust and Carlson at 5:34. So Bunting, former Maple Leaf, getting a goal against his former team. That makes it 3-2 for Pittsburgh. The Leafs look to respond. We get a press by Toronto at 8 minutes. The Penguins then have some pressure halfway through the period. We get a power play for the Penguins. That's killed off. With 2:13 left, the Leafs get a power play. So, down by a goal. You pull the goaltender, of course, and Lizotte hits the empty netter for what was also a shorthanded goal at 19 minutes and 20 seconds. And then another shorthanded empty netter at 19:34. It's Letang from Pettersson to make the final score 5-2 for Pittsburgh. They go to 12-13-4. They've won 5 out of 6. Toronto 16-9-2. They drop back-to-back games. Shots on net, 8-6 Toronto in the first, 10-9 Pittsburgh in the second, 13-10 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots 29-27 Pittsburgh. Power plays 1 for 3 for Toronto, 2 for 5 for Pittsburgh. The hits 18-17 Toronto. Wall saves 24 out of 27. Jarry 25 saves on 27 shots. And I think this is, I think there was a TSN panel where they were talking about, are the Leafs the best team in hockey right now? And there was a comment of, oh yeah, they're the best team in hockey. And I'm thinking, oh boy. And that's usually when things go bad, is when the media starts talking about how great Toronto is. That's usually when you get a game like this. It's something I've noticed over the years. All right, next up, Minnesota and the LA Kings. So Minnesota, of course, having played last night in Anaheim. Tonight, LA, a bit of a tougher opponent here. Fleury versus Kemper. Boldy gets denied on a turnover. Then there's a shoulder save on Hellenius. Merrill has a wrist shot that's held. The shots are 4-3 LA at 5.5 minutes. The Kings press at 8.5 minutes. Fleury was sharp, and he was. Marc-Andre Fleury had a good game. The Wild get pinned down. There are more saves by Fleury. We then get a power play, or a press by the Wild, I should say, with 9 minutes left. Johansson gets denied from the slot. There's more pressure by Minnesota with 4.5 minutes left. Boldy fires one wide on a rush, and then at 19-17, Kempe scores in the final minute for LA. Kopitar and Anderson with the assists. It's felt a lot like Dallas's game in LA. Dallas controls, and then all of a sudden LA does that. Second period, the Kings press at 1.5 minutes. Hellenius has a shot that's kicked aside. There's a press by Minnesota at 4.5 minutes. Clark has a point shot that's held. The shots are 5-0 LA 5.5 minutes in. We had a fight between Foligno and Jeannot. We get a power play for the Kings, and they score on it. It's Laferriere at 8:33 from Spence and Fiala. The Wild, halfway through the game, had 9 shots. That's it, just the 9 shots. Kempe has a rush chance that's saved. We get a power play for the Kings. That becomes 42 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off there. The Wild do press after that power play comes to an end. With 8.4 seconds left, the Wild go back to the power play. So, it's 2-0 LA after 2. Third period, Hartman has a chance that's held. The Kings do finish off that penalty kill. We get a press by LA at 3 minutes. The shots are 4 apiece at 4.5 minutes. The Wild have a 3-on-2 that gets broken up. The Kings doing a pretty good job of blocking a path to the net at this point in the third period. Gavrikov has a shot that's saved and cleared. The shots are 9-5 Kings with 9 minutes left. Laferriere's denied on a rush. Boldy has a net drive that's defended. Hartman has a shot that's held during the 6-on-5 as they've got the goalie pulled. Fogel has an empty net chance that's blocked, and then at 18:06, Moore hits the empty net from Kempe. So Minnesota needs to answer, and they do. Trenton roofs one. That's his first goal of the season, his first point in a while. Merrill and Bogosian with the assists at 18:47. So you pull the goalie again because you're down by 2, and Moore hits the empty net for the second time in the game at 18:55 to make the final score in this one 4-1 in favor of the LA Kings. They go to 16-8-3 with the win. With the loss, Minnesota 18-5-4 on the year. Shots on net, 12-7 LA in the first, 8-3 LA in the second. Both teams had 14 shots in the third. Final shots 34-24 for LA. Power plays, Minnesota 0-2, LA 1-2. The hits 20-18 Minnesota. Fleury saved 30 out of 32, and Kemper, very good game for Kemper as well. 23 saves on 24 shots. Last game of the night, St. Louis and LA. Yeah, LA played twice. Split squad. Weird. No, St. Louis and the Edmonton Oilers. So it's Binnington versus Skinner. Early jump for the Oilers, but the shots are 2-1 for the Blues at 4 minutes. Blues press at 7 minutes. Holloway has a rush chance that's saved. Every time Holloway and Broberg touched the puck, they chanted, "Boo Earns, Boo Earns." The Oilers press with 9 minutes left, and at 12:23, it's the Oilers getting on the board first. It's Corey Perry with his 5th of the season, Nurse and Draisaitl with the assists. Blues look to respond. The shots are 8-5 St. Louis with 4 minutes left. Bolduc couldn't bury one in close. Puck's cleared out. The Oilers press with 2.5 minutes left. The Blues get pinned down for a bit, but they block out the net. So that's the important thing. If you're not giving them paths to the net, they're not going to score. So it's 1-0 Oilers after the first. Second period, early Emberson chance gets held. Thomas to Buchnevich play at the net, gets picked off. Teams exchange rushes. There's a near miss for Podkolzin on a rush as well. Shen to Parayko gets picked off. And then on a turnover, McDavid buries one at 5:19. That is the last player you want to be turning the puck over to. An early whistle then bails out Binnington. He didn't have the puck. The puck trickles in, but because the whistle had already gone, it is not a goal, and it's not something that they can reverse. I know. Maybe at some point in time, these kinds of things can be reversed, but at this point in time, they can't be. So, there's a post for Kapanen on a rush. The shots are 7-4 Oilers at the half. We then get a power play for the Oilers, and they score on it. Hyman tips one in close. McDavid and Draisaitl with the assists at 14:37. It's 3-0 Oilers. The Oilers press with 3 minutes left. The Blues get some pressure to close it out, but yeah, 3-0 Edmonton after 2. Third period, early press by the Blues. Podkolzin fires one wide on a rush. The shots are 2-0 St. Louis, 3.5 minutes in. Thomas to Kyrou, that gets picked off. Hyman's denied from the doorstep, and then Holloway buries a one-timer. Thomas and Parayko with the assists at 5:02. That gets St. Louis on the board and puts a little bit of uncertainty into the game. The score now 3-1 for the Oilers. Holloway's denied on a rush chance. Draisaitl has a net drive. That's blocked. We get a power play for St. Louis. That then becomes 1:09 of 5-on-3. So this is a huge moment in the game, right? So the Blues call a timeout before the power play starts. Things get pushy on a hold by Stuart Skinner. And then, just after the 5-on-3 ends, when it becomes a 5-on-4, Neighbors has a puck deflect in off of him. So it's his goal. Kyrou and Buchnevich with the assists at 13:09. All of a sudden, it's a one-goal game. But at 14:18, from a sharp angle, past a screen, it's Stecher with his first goal in 65 games. It's been more than a calendar year in between goals by Troy Stecher, and the assist to Jeff Skinner on the play makes it 4-2 for the Oilers. Near miss for Skinner when Binnington was down on the next shift. The goalie pull happens with 3:05 left. The Blues do their best to try to generate opportunities, but in the end, Edmonton wins this one 4-2. They go to 15-10-2 with the win. St. Louis drops to 13-13-2 with the loss. Shots on net, 10-5 St. Louis in the first, 9-8 Edmonton in the second, 13-7 St. Louis in the third. They do outshoot the Oilers 31-21. Power plays, St. Louis 1 for 2. Edmonton scored on the only power play they had. That power play started getting better. The hits 20-10 for St. Louis. Binnington 17 saves on 21 shots. Skinner, good night for Stuart Skinner. 29 saves on 31 shots. So there you go. You're all caught up on tonight's action. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.